All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of our Madden 25 Connected Franchise Owner Mode Fantasy Draft Buffalo Bills Ralph Wilson YouTube series. We are coming off the first loss of our series at the hands of our division foe, the New England Patriots, 41-35. Some of you guys have been responding to the loss well. Most of you guys have, and me myself, I am disappointed in the loss. However, a loss was bound to come. You know, when you're 21-0 in the regular season, and you win a Super Bowl and all that goes on. As much as you want to keep it alive for as long as you can, you are eventually, no matter what, gonna take a loss. And so, the fact that we took one yesterday, it sucks, but unfortunately, that's what happens sometimes, and we're gonna come back from it. I think that's the most important thing, that we can come back from it and play well. A lot of you guys also have been commenting on the new audio format. I thank you guys so much for being patient with me while I was working out the kinks of my audio system, and I'm just glad to bring you guys the best audio content I possibly can. It makes me happy to bring you guys the best content that I possibly can, and definitely improved audio is a big step towards that. So thank you. Moving on with today, episode number 73, we're starting off with Miles Burris. Now, Miles Burris, back up outside linebacker, could eventually maybe work his way into a starting role, where we basically started him off just some basic awareness, get him up to an 80. Block shedding, we get him up to an 84. That's pretty darn good. Aside from that, I would like to up his power moves just a little bit, get those up to a 60. I'm surprised that somebody with as much strength as Miles Burris lacks power moves. Strength here. Now, his tackling's phenomenal. Strength's 84. That's not phenomenal, but it's not bad for an outside linebacker, especially one with as much mobility as Burris. With that being said, though, he's up to an 80, just like that, bada bing, bada boom. Meanwhile, the starter, Justin Durant, we're going to work on him. I think predominantly, he's got a lot. I think man coverage definitely deserves a couple of bumps up. These are expensive upgrades. They're just over $2,000 a piece. However, Durant plays quite a bit of man in our system, and 70 isn't an awful number for an outside linebacker. However, we want to get that as high as possible. After that, I think block shedding would do him well. So we get him up to about an 84 that way. And there we go. The Hampton product, bumping it up just like that. He fits so well into our system. Has been pretty good for us this year. Now, a lot of our defenders haven't had good years this year so far. We started off the season phenomenally. Really, really played well for about the first 3 games of the season. Then things started to fall off in game number 4 versus our division rival. I believe that first game was against the Dolphins. The following one was against the Jets. Now, this is before the no, it was not before the break. Oh, I lose track of these games so fast. Either way, our 4th game of the season, the Buffalo Bills defense here really struggled. Since then, they have gotten worse. The last 2 games, particularly this past game, got absolutely lit up by Joe Flacco of the New England Patriots, and it was not good. They gave up, obviously, as you saw, 41 points. Now, obviously, the loss was in overtime. I'm confident that had we started with the ball in overtime, we would have been able to come out on top, because our offense has been firing on all cylinders. The draft picks of Eric Baldwin and Basman Hooker, along with Gino Castro in the slot, Jacoby Ford, Deshaun Jackson coming back, the offensive line upgrades that we've seen, like all that stuff is really culminating in a powerful offensive attack. There's really been nobody so far this season who's been able to shut us down, and aside from that, very few people or teams who have been able to even really slow us down. Certainly, the Patriots' defense was not able to do that, allowing 5 touchdowns and forcing 1 fumble. That was really the only area that they were able to show any success in, forcing the Ryan Williams fumble. But our defense has been holding us back big time, which is a real shame. We're hoping some of these defensive upgrades can do us some good. Aside from that, we're just going to have to keep our fingers crossed, try and maybe alter our strategy just a little bit. I'm thinking of trying to send a little more pressure because we have been missing that pressure. I don't feel like, our coverage hasn't been as strong as it was last year, but I feel like a large part of it, the failure for our success a lot of the time has been because we're just not getting enough of a push from those guys up front. So hoping to try and send a little more pressure. Obviously, the risk with doing that is that you're taking guys out of coverage, but I don't know if we have a choice anymore, just given how desperate we are to put some stops together and make some plays. We've now worked up both of our middle linebackers. Jarrell Freeman, so far, he was just a free agent pickup this past off season, brought in to replace Dan Connor, who was in that spot last season behind John Bostic. So far has been awful. Now, he plays very well in real life. He plays for the Indianapolis Colts. Anytime you sit down and watch a Colts game, which I've watched a few this year, you hear Jarrell Freeman's name all over the place. However, for our purposes in our world, he's been really dreadful. So we're hoping that he can step things up, or else he will not be here next year. Here we're on to C.O. Moore, the backup for Jason Worlds. Moore basically just plays on special teams. We'll try and work up his awareness aside from that, get his block shedding ability up, his tackling ability up, and that'll really help him when it comes to his special teams duties. And then after that, we're going to be on to the rest of our content here today. Scouting and then practice. The same old schedule that we've gotten used to here. So his block shedding is up. We can leave that at that. So we're done upgrading for today. The only other area I want to go in as a bonus is Ryan Williams, who's got 10,000 points to spend. We need to get this cat not fumbling the football is what we need to do. We've worked on his carrying ability. As you can see, his carrying ability is pretty strong. It's at 91. However, he's put 2 balls in a row on the turf, and two games in a row. So we can get that up to 92, and we can't upgrade anything else. I refuse to upgrade, touch anything. There's areas that he needs to get better, don't get me wrong. A stiff arm could be better. His catch in traffic could certainly be better. Catching overall could be better. I'd like to see his ball carry vision up just a little bit. His spin move's pretty good. His trucking ability's pretty good. His consistency trait needs to be worked up. There's lots of other areas where we need to give Ryan Williams some assistance. However, we're not doing anything until we can assure that he can keep his mitts on the ball. I think that, after the mistake that was made this past game, we can go back to him. However, with that being said, if he puts another ball on the ground, especially one that cost us the game like this past one did. I guess I shouldn't say that. We don't know for a fact that it cost us the game, but, it certainly didn't help. We'll just put it that way. And so we need to make sure that he's pulling up his socks in the meantime. Now, this past episode, we were taking a look at some of these big old boys of the defensive line, looking for somebody to select. We're talking maybe, very late 3rd round, mid 4th round, maybe late 4th round, depending. Chad Dake has kind of impressed us. Shane Houston has not looked very good from what we've seen. Mason Ballou, same thing. So we're going to start off with Luis Villanueva and give him a shot. He's another big boy, 6'2", 342. That's very Vince Wilfork, Casey Hampton-esque in terms of size. A real big one, just like we like him on the defensive line in the interior. And so let's start checking him out. He's got B strength. None of these guys have A strength, which is something I don't like. I got to be honest. D for power moves. I don't like that. C for finesse moves. Block shedding is a C. Tackling is a C. Hit power is a C. Awareness is a C. Pursuit is a C. Play recognition is a C. Stamina is a B. I like that. Injury is only a B. I don't like that. Personality is an F. Toughness is an A. Confidence is a 1. And I'm not loving this kid either. Scheme, he's going to be a base 3-4. And he's a little oversized. Now, some people don't agree with me with this. Personally, I like oversized defensive tackles. I'm not a big fan of the sub-300 defensive tackles. Personally, though, to each their own. Let's take a look at Tyree Elmore. Basically, I just want to get a basic idea of what all of these bigger defensive tackles are like. Elmore has poor acceleration. Strength is just a B again, but power moves are a B. Finesse moves are a C. That's better than some of the ones we've seen. Agility is a C. Block shedding is a C. Tackling is only a C. Awareness is a C. Hit power is a C. Play recognition is a C. Pursuit is a C. Injury is a B. Stamina is a B. I like that. Toughness is a B. Personality is an F. His confidence, a 2. So maybe Elmore could be somebody, especially considering he's slated to go so late in the draft. He could be somebody who's worth drafting, with a 5th, 6th round pick later on, just as a project player, not unlike Camille Linton. Now, Camille Linton, I would say I'm high on Camille Linton. I wouldn't say though that it's a guaranteed thing, that he's going to be a star for us. So it would be nice to bring in somebody else at that same position. To kind of give both those, just give us some options and have those guys kind of compete for that same spot. Aside from that, there are a few places I would like to go in this upcoming draft. Now there's this draft is really loaded at receivers. So we're looking through these a few episodes ago. Also, left tackle, maybe a place to go. We have talked in the past about places we might want to check out, guys we might want to check out. I would like to just kind of flush out our knowledge of this overall draft. I think we have decided pretty much fully to make every effort we can to draft Macon, a.k.a. Bacon Benedict, at the center spot. After that, as long as we get some depth at the defensive tackle spot, I'm pretty happy. I'd like to draft a corner at some point, and I'd like to draft perhaps even a free safety, not a strong safety, but a free safety, just because Jamarcus Sanford, though he's been fine, hasn't been a phenomenal player for us. And additionally, Chris Connie, when he's been in, again, the backup, even though he's young, hasn't been great for us. Does that mean that neither of them will be the starter for the foreseeable future? Absolutely not. It just means that we want to keep our options open. Now, I don't see a way in which we're going to be able to draft Hirschman or Ozurides, if that's how you say Karsten's last name, from Alabama. But I think we could easily move up a bit in the second round to draft Skylar Glazier or Alante Gibbons, depending on how things roll. So let's start off with Glazier. Again, not looking at the top couple guys just because, we have committed that pick to the center spot. Glazier, not great strength, just good strength at the B rating. His pass blocking is an A, which is great. That's what you need at the left tackle spot. His run blocking is a C. That's fine, especially considering, we're out of points. So we're going to have to come back to this left tackle spot. It's looking right now like defensive tackle. There's not really one bona fide candidate who we need to have. There's quite a few who look sort of, decent, but not necessarily guaranteed hits. So we're going to keep looking at the left tackle spot. We're going to keep looking at the cornerback spot and keep fleshing out those picks. Also, just to refresh your memories, we have attained some extra picks and traded away others. So if you take a look at when we manage our roster, we should be able to, not the depth chart, that's not what I wanted to do. Mind you, while we're here, we can fix our kick return, punt return situations. We want Castro and Ford back there, and we want Castro back and Ford. There we go. So that's solid. Also, while we're here, we cannot check out our contract, or pardon me, our injury information, but I'll update that in a moment. So anyways, as I was saying, when we check out our picks, we did attain, we got rid of a 4th round pick earlier. However, we attained the 3rd round pick of the New York Giants, who, given their kind of en masse retiring that happened last year, with all of those different guys who suddenly took off, or at least we speculated that they were going to struggle this year. I think it's time to check out the standings, so we can do that shortly after we just check out the updates for our injuries. Bruce Irvin did get hurt at the end of last game, so I'd like to see the update on him. Darren Sproles has been out all season. Should be back soon, though, from his broken collarbone. And there it is. So Jason Campbell, 3 weeks to go till he's back. Darren Sproles, 1 week. However, Bruce Irvin out for 5 weeks. with a dislocated ankle. Bruce Irvin at that speed rush spot on the right end, hard to replace, that's for sure. We're going to, I think, have to take a look at maybe bringing somebody in. Jason Hunter would fill in on that spot. Let's just double check that. Jason Hunter behind Bruce Irvin. I would not call Jason Hunter a breakout player like Bruce Irvin. For example, Jason Hunter, 31 years old, 76 overall. He's about the same size, actually a little bigger than Bruce Irvin. However, and he does have actually more finesse moves, but he lacks the block shedding ability, the strength, the speed. That's for sure. Just a very different type of player. Actually, their strength is on par. However, the power moves, you can see the hit power is much, much different. Agility, acceleration, not quite there with Hunter. But you know what? Maybe Jason Hunter can prove himself. You know, he's not a young spring chicken anymore exactly. But, you know, last season when Rob Ninkovich went down, that gave Thaddeus Gibson an opportunity to really prove himself, and that's exactly how he won the starting role. It's a role that he hasn't given up since last year. So maybe Jason Hunter, I'm not saying Jason Hunter needs to prove himself, you know, to the point of becoming a new starter, but, you know, maybe he can do some good things, work his way up, and play well. So here we go. Here's our standings overall now. Nobody's ahead of us in the standings. That's important to note. And all the other teams on here, Eagles, Saints, are in the NFC. The Chargers are in the AFC, so we are tied for the AFC lead. However, check this out. You know, we're doing very well with our overall points scored. We are first in points scored by 7 over the Saints, who are also 5-1. And in terms of points allowed, we're not in the top 5 in terms of points allowed, but we're doing pretty darn well for ourselves. 114, you know, that's only about 30 more than the Steelers, who have 10 less than everybody else. So it's not as if we're really struggling or that one loss really hurts us. Meanwhile, as you can see, the New York Giants are 1-4 on the season. In terms of the overall NFL, I'm not sure if there are any winless teams. There are 3 winless teams. Okay, so the Jaguars, the Colts, and the Cardinals are all winless, but the Giants are right down there with the 8 worst teams in the league. So hopefully they can continue to perform poorly, and our 3rd round pick, who knows, from them could even result in being, you know, pretty darn good. Anyways, let's continue on. Advance week. We're done our player progression. We're done our scouting. We're done our yakking. It's time to play. It's time to go to practice. We'll also get to see our opponent for tomorrow's video, episode number 74. Where hopefully we're back at home. We lost again on the road to New England. It'd be nice to get back home where we're undefeated. Still dating back to the beginning of last season. Obviously, we're in the new building this year. Have yet to lose there. Hopefully we can get back, get pounding things on the ground. Ryan Williams can be a little more secure at the football, and it'd be solid. Now, here's something that I saw. Now, Miles Burris, for whatever reason, he was placed, I think I did this accidentally, but he was accidentally placed on the trade block. I have no intention of trading Miles Burris. I'm kind of interested to see what we can get for him. A 3rd and a 7th from Seattle. That's not bad. 4th and a 6th, 4th and a 7th, 4th and a 6th. So lots of interest from different teams in the league. But with that being said, you know, 3rd and a 7th, that's not a bad offer, but we have no interest in trading Miles Burris at this time. Miles Burris, a great player for us on special teams, and really somebody who could potentially start, I think. Certainly start. I mean, he started for us last year in the Super Bowl. Granted, that was due to injury. However, somebody who can step in anywhere, very valuable to the team, even if he's not necessarily a starter all the time. So, anyways, that was just a mistake if there was any confusion. With that being said, let's go ahead and you're tied at the start of the 4th quarter. If you're coach, bada bing, bada boom. Tied up on offense or 4th quarter tie. You're tied with less than 5 minutes to go. Hold on to win it. Let's go tied up on offense. Why not? We haven't done this one in forever, and we got to keep our practice win streak going. I believe our practice win streak is at 2 now, which is very exciting. We of course, in our back-to-back against the Flippity Flops, were unsuccessful in winning both. That was at our bye week a couple weeks ago. In the game, that is, in real life, that was just this past Friday and Monday. But we're gonna give it our all here today and try and take down some Flippity Flops. So here we go. Let's get started. We're going to start off, and we're 2nd and 10 at our own 20-yard line. I would like to put the ball in the air just to kick things off. So here we go. We got Hooker and Williams coming out of the backfield, but Deshaun Jackson's going to come open over the middle of the field. He dodges one tackle, keeps his feet moving. It's a thing of beauty. Very nice work for Deshaun Jackson. We're on to the next one. Also, somebody mentioned in the comments a few days ago, they said, hey, why are you in game flow? You know, if you just went to, because in Madden 25, you can have 2 different settings in talking about the way in which you can call plays. You can either be in like the traditional way, which is where you have the option of like just picking plays, like sitting looking at the playbook like you traditionally would in a Madden game, and just picking straight there from the book. Or you can go the other route and you can go game flow, where basically the game shows you a couple plays that you can pick or a couple scenarios, and then you make a decision from there. And because I almost always open up the actual playbook, this person was just saying, if you went to classic mode instead of looking at game flow all the time, you could save some time. You wouldn't have to click the square button all the time. The reality is, and here's why I do it. I did explain it in the comments, but just in case somebody else didn't see the question and was wondering, like, yeah, why? What's this guy doing? The reason I do it is because in late game situations, if there comes a time, and it has happened before, where for whatever reason we don't have a timeout, we're scrambling to pick a play. It's nice to have the option of just going bada bing, bada boom, picked a play, and just 3 plays, pop up, and you can just quickly get to choose whichever one you want, as opposed to having to open the playbook and take a look and all that. So I don't do it because we're going to use it, all the time. I keep the game flow on, and I like it because for that 1 out of 100 times where you're just desperate for a play, time's running out at the end of the half or whatever, you can just bada bing, bada boom, pick it, and you're done. Meanwhile, as I'm talking here, Deshaun Jackson makes a beautiful catch, his 2nd catch of the practice session. And at this point, we're going to start slow playing this. We started this practice scenario off with 5 minutes. We've used up half of that time. We're 1 play away. We're just going to run it here to keep the clock moving until the quarter's done, or until the 2-minute warning, that is. And then after that, as long as we slow play this fine enough, there we go, Ryan Williams, 5 yards up the right side. Nice run there. As long as we can get 1 first down after the 2-minute warning, and that is if the computer uses their timeouts, we should be able to kick a field goal with 0s on the clock for the practice session win. We'll also consider this some pressure on Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams, with his newly upgraded carrying ability, is going to have to keep the ball in his mitts here if he wants us to win the practice scenario. There, he has a nice run up the gut for a gain of 6 yards up to the 20-yard line of the the Flippity Flops. And we can just slow play this. We'll wait for the play clock to go down, beat the game clock. This practice scenario tied 7-7. We started off with the football, and things are going well so far. We just have to let the play clock go down. It should go to about 1:16 as we snap this football. Again, I expect the Flippity Flops to use their timeouts after this play to stop the clock. If they don't, then that's a really big hole in the AI. So 1:16 comes up. A nice seal block by John Kuhn on the end. Ryan Williams puts his head down. That's an 11-yard gain, and it is now 1st and goal. 1:11 left in the practice scenario. The Flippity Flops use their first timeout. I can expect them to use 2 more. It would be nice, honestly, if we could get a first down. It looks like because we are first and goal, we're not going to be able to run out all the time if we're that intent on kicking a field goal. It's now second down. The Flippity Flops will use their timeout after this one. We'll be able to run 40 seconds off. That'll get us doing about the 35-second mark. And actually, no, we should be fine as long as Ryan Williams stays down. There we go. So now that it is third down, I think we'll be okay. We can run this clock out. I just miscalculated for a moment. This should be fine. We're going to, at the 2-yard line, just kneel down here. We should be able to kill 40 seconds. Or pardon me, no, I did not miscalculate. I was right the first time. It is fourth down now, and so we're going to be able to kick the field goal, but there is going to be time left on the clock. It won't be a lot of time. It'll only be about 20 seconds, but that's the best we can do because we're not able to get a first down, being first and goal on first down. Could we have tried to score a touchdown with a minute left? Yes, but I'd rather play it safe, kick the field goal with 20 seconds left, and then try to trust our defense and special teams to not allow the Flippity Flops to score. So here we go. We got 3-2. The ball is back. It is up, and it is good from Greg the Leg. One of the easiest field goals he'll ever make. With 20 seconds left, we're going to have to kick it off. I think we're going to aim it to the sideline here, play it a little bit short, just try and keep it in bounds. Keeping it in bounds is important because it means that the Flippity Flops actually have to return the football, which I like because if you allow a team to go for the touchback, then they keep all the time on the clock. Whereas this time, the Flippity Flops had to use 3 seconds, and sometimes 3 seconds doesn't mean anything, but sometimes 3 seconds means everything. 3 seconds can be the difference between victory and defeat. So here we go. We have dime defense in here. John Bostic's going to be in man coverage on the tight end. I'm slightly concerned about that, but he looks fine over the middle. Over the middle is great for us because that means the Flippity Flops will not be able to stop the clock. This looks to be their last play. We're going to bring Jamarcus Sanford way back. I know they're going to spike it. But even with that said, again, 4 seconds left. They really only have one play. Foolish decision by the Flippity Flops to put the ball over the middle with no timeouts left. If they were able to, get the ball to the sideline, they could have maybe had, 3, maybe even 4 plays. But this no longer the case. They're gonna go for the Hail Mary to the right-hand side. They'll leap up, and there's Javonte Davis with the pick, and he's gonna get wrapped up immediately. We'll see. No, we cannot snag an instant replay of that, so we're gonna have to find something else for the thumbnail. But that's okay. We did some interesting scouting stuff today. We can take a look at that. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me today, guys. This was episode number 73. I hope y'all have a great Wednesday. In the meantime, I'm Tuxedo T-shirt, and I'm out.